So,
Yeah.
Ginger, hey, Chris, I got this mental image of, you're talking about reserving your time and trying to trim back the activities that take up your time and stuff. And I'm thinking, I got this mental image of your kids sitting around the kitchen table, and it's all like Office Space style, and you're like, so what would you say that you actually do around here?
I told her the other day she's going to have to start doing some chores.
Right. She needs to earn that quarter, that's for sure.
Interviewing for their job.
Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, the from I actually talked with the game, the One Signal people about integrating, basically replacing the integration in Chromium with their service, and I got pretty far with that module, but just never really moved into it because I think their system's good enough. I mean, you can do it all from there and then just connect from Chromium through the Lua code, so you can just make it simpler that way.
Yep. Sounds good. I just saw that everybody uses that thread as the de facto docs. You know what I mean, for push bot integration. That it obviously pushes them right to, what do you have it on, Bitbucket, right?
Yeah. It's I think what happened was, again, just kind of being the first one there when people were looking for solutions, and mostly it was just came down to the fact that at the moment that Parse wasn't supporting the Android, so for push through any other type of plugins except their pre-built binaries. So, but it's like I said, there's other services out there now. It's due time. I'm kind of tired of fielding the tech support on it.
Free support, man. You should have called up Pushbots and see if you could get a real quick gig over there. You and Rob can form up like Voltron.
Yeah. Voltron.
That's my, I think, second Voltron reference in 3 shows.
And I unfortunately haven't had a chance to dig into the story yet, but it hasn't been mentioned, and so I just wanted to know: is this a paid situation? Is there a monetary back end to this, or are all these plugins free right now?
At the moment, free is the only option, but again, Michael can probably speak to a potential timeline. They say that the ability to sell them is in the works.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. I can't give you a timeline on it, though.
Okay.
Just because I don't know.
Yeah, we really don't. So
I think that could be interesting as well, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be curious. One thing I'd love to, is there any ability to see metrics for how many folks have activated the plugin? I assume that there's probably some type of stats available to you anytime a project is built against it.
Yes, we have that data, but it's not really easily presentable to plugin maintainers.
Yeah, well, it's just it's pure ego. You just sort of want to see how how much it's being used.
We can look into it as the store grows, but I don't think it's a high priority right now.
Yeah.
Jason, is there a way to implement your own homegrown little solution there? I mean, I know Kevin had been working on his own sort of stat counter, so to speak.
Yeah, I suppose I could build some sort of network call, into the plugin, and you could. I wouldn't personally, because I wouldn't want to add the overhead of a network call to it personally. But yeah, I suppose you could. You could roll your own, anytime.
Could always give it.
You wouldn't be able to do it against builds, but you could certainly, I could keep, akin to a Flurry type of service where I could, keep a running count of anytime somebody uses the plugin to make a Twitter request or something like that.
Yeah, maybe just make it on by default and then have a flag to be able to turn it off or something if you want to, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Even if I'm thinking even if it was just even if you had, I'm thinking like image beacons and stuff like that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like just knowing how many times something loads.
Yeah. I will say this is sort of what's beautiful about distributing something as a plugin as opposed to distributing a module is you really do have that greater level of control over it. You're not just throwing it out there and people can modify it, and there's strength to that too. and I don't see myself, I'm still working on a number of modules that I plan to release. Some of them may get rolled into plugins, some of them will not, and I think it's got to be a case-by-case basis. I think there's some functionality that it's better for me, it's better for the end user to just throw out a Lua file and say require this into your project, because there is the extra step of for me of having to go through an approval process and submit it. In my mind, not that I don't feel a responsibility to maintain and support the modules I put up on my own site, but I feel there's an added layer of responsibility with this. It's sort of Corona Labs is putting it on their site and approving it. So I feel like, they say it in their documents that you're sort of it's an honor code type of contract that you're going to support this moving forward.
So what's the I'm curious about this part. What's the update process like?
Super duper easy. So and they make it really easy. I pasted a link in the chat, so you could put it in the show notes later, to Rob's post, which has a link to a GitHub page where you can download a template from them. And there's scripts, little shell scripts in that template that will do some of the tedious work for you. So in my case, I wanted to call my plugin Twitter. So you can run this script, put in the word Twitter, because that's what it's going to be called, and it will pre-populate a whole bunch of the metadata files. Like there's a JSON file with metadata for what the publisher ID is going to be, what the plugin itself is going to be called, etc. And that little script fills in a whole bunch of that stuff for you, which is awesome. And then you just sort of go about making your plugin, your module, just like you would any other module, although you're working within a specific file structure that the template lays out for you that'll work nicely with when it needs to be packaged. So you do that, you make your little test project to sort of show it off, demo it, make sure it is all working. And then there is a build script that is also built into the template, which is awesome. So when it comes time to do that, you open up a terminal window, you tell it to run, and it kicks out a zip file with your encrypted plugin that you can then at that point upload. I can't remember if I uploaded it or it might have been an email. So there's a form on the Corona Labs website. Yeah, so a form that you fill in and say, hey, this is the plugin I'm working on, this is what it's all about. Shortly thereafter, you get an email, in my case from Michael. I said, great, send it to me. I sent it to him. He started working it. Michael and I had a round of back and forth on it of, hey, I tried it in this case and it didn't quite work right, or did you think about this? And that was hugely helpful. And Michael asked great questions and raised great points that I think made it a better plugin in a short period of time. And then once Michael determined that it was ready to go, he set up a Bitbucket repo and gave me access to it. And then at that point, it's sort of on me. I can push out updates now, and I have a couple two or three times now already with little additional features. And that is one thing I will say. This is going to sound funny, Eric, because earlier I was sort of talking about how I dislike the WYSIWYG type of stuff. That said, I'm not a command line guy. I kind of hate it. So I had never used Mercurial before, which is the revision system that they use for Bitbucket. And so I was a little bit like, oh, God, it's command line. I'm going to have to figure this stuff out. And so but being lazy, instead of doing that, I Googled Mercurial GUI and found an awesome little free app that somebody wrote called Mac HG, HG being the command line from using Mercurial commands in the terminal. And it's awesome. That is just, you say, I want to clone this, you punch in the web address for it, it creates a clone version on your hard drive, you make changes to it, it tells you that there have been changes, you can commit it and push it all from there. So I narrowly avoided having to learn more command line stuff.
Don't hide it. Don't hide it, Jason.
What's that, Chris?
Oh, you should definitely check out SourceTree. I just pinged a link in the in the chat. It is amazing for all that type of stuff. It's a wonderful visual GUI tool.